everyone, my name is Kayla Martin, and for this critic I am going to be analyzing the work of George Quaintance. I hope I'm saying that right, and it is featured in Gay by the Bay by Susan Stryker. So when I first saw these images, what I immediately thought of is the famous poster featuring Betty Grable, I believe, and this poster was very famous during World War II times, and it was a photo of her with her backside, her legs very chiseled, and you can see her backside very prominently. And this was very popular during World War II because it made the soldiers a little less homesick, I guess, and it was a provocative photo during the time, hence its popularity. So during that World War II time period, I thought only photos of women were popular, but with the work of George Quaintance, it kind of flips it, where similar photos are being portrayed or similar images are being portrayed, but they're provocative photos of men instead of women. So a little bit of background on George Quaintance. He was an American artist, and he was very known for his homoerotic images of men in the 20th century. And in order to face less backlash for his art, he would put the subjects into historical contexts in order to distance them from, I guess, modern society. And this type of art boomed, and he was very famous for, I guess, originating this style of art. And many have coined him as the pioneer of the gay aesthetic. And sadly, he died at a young age of about somewhere around 50. George Quaintance's work, Shore Leave, is included in the Gay by the Bay text and is one of his most famous works, and it features a sailor and another man participating in an exchange, and during this time, this was very frowned upon. I think with his creative choice of putting these images in historical context, I think that separated that context from, I guess, the current present, which I think allowed him a lot more creative freedom, I believe. And what I thought was really interesting, and through doing research, is that he never painted a penis in, despite all of his works surrounding homoeroticism, because I suppose it was illegal. A few sources have said that was illegal, which was news to me. And so a lot of his works reminded me of Ken dolls in a sense, that they have this perfect physique, but they lack the genitalia, even though most of the time they're naked or close to naked. On the discussion post itself, I'll include the two images, and you can determine for yourself how similar they are and how one was so popular and is a historical, one of the most historical photographs of all time regarding United States history, versus George's art, which is so underground but has the same or very similar themes. I think that examining the poster of Patty Grable along with these works is a really interesting dynamic, because with the Patty Grable poster during World War II time, and it was so popular and had very similar themes, but it was an image of a woman, versus these, which have the same message of eroticism, but were so, I guess, frowned upon and had to be so underground, otherwise George himself would face probably death threats or other forms of violence or possibly imprisonment for the way he expressed himself through art, even though the same exact thing is happening through photography with widespread popularity. I think that George's artwork was very important during the time period while homosexuality was still very frowned upon and very repressed, that people were able to view this artwork and, I guess, distance themselves from their own homosexuality and come together with it in a similar way, if that makes sense. I guess what I mean, like, during this time you were very limited in your expression of your sexuality if you deviated from heterosexuality, I suppose. And even then you're still limited in your expression. But if you are LGBT, especially homosexual, for this terminology, you were limited in your expression, and I think artwork such as this gave people, I guess, an insight of, I could possibly be this, and this is what my life could be like if I embrace my sexuality, which I think is really important. While doing research on this artist, most of the sources that have came up said that there was such limited information on this particular artist, and that may be because he wanted to remain underground in a sense, so did not release very much information. But since he was a pioneer for this specific style of artwork, so many people give him credit, but know very little about him, so I guess he's kind of still a mysterious figure in a way. Within Gay by the Bay, Susan Stryker talks about how in the San Francisco area during the World War II time period, sailors were so prevalent due to, I guess, a lot of boats being there, and that overlaps with the massive, I guess, population of LGBT people. So it's really interesting to see that overlapping analysis of sailors with the stereotype of being very hypermasculine, testosterone, and seeing them in a homoerotic lens, I suppose. Overall, I really wanted to talk about this artist because I think it was very important during the time period, and since he was a pioneer for this specific style of artwork, I think it's very important to give him credit and also examine the historical context of when these images were coming out to the public and how that still remained underground as a way to explore homosexuality in a way that's not necessarily super explicit. If you have anything else you want to say, please comment down below, because I know this is a very wide topic to talk about, and I know a lot of people have differing perspectives or have additional details that they want to contribute. So I love talking about this sort of stuff, so please comment down below, and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.